Hi everyone, and welcome to week 6. For week 6, you're going to be reading chapters 11 and 12, and you have the midterm exam right here that I'll go over. For week 6, these two chapters are going to be focused on the role of trade controversies and trade development, which can create a lot of, it's probably the biggest issue within international trade you'll find. Right here I have a lot of videos for you to review, and I think you'll find them very interesting. And I also have a couple articles as well, and I think you'll find those interesting as well to review. So for this week, we're looking at the role of, in chapter 11, we're looking at some trade policies in developing countries. Now there's a couple slides I want to go over. When you look at the GDP per capita, now if you look at the GDP per capita, the thing that people are so surprised about right here is China with about $9,000. The reason why there's a lot of challenges with low growth in China is because of the fact that they have a lot of people. They do have a higher GDP level, but they have a lot of people in the country. And given that they have a lot of people in the country, it's going to create a lot of challenges because it's very hard to spread the wealth around. Now, when we look at manufacturing in some developing countries, you'll look at effective protection. And protection in these developing countries are very important. Protection allows for industries to stay current. Now, this chapter is going to have this focus on import substituting industrialization. When we look at countries that may have a potential comparative advantage in some industries, but these industries cannot initially compete with established industries in other countries. So when you are not able to compete, you'll notice that they'll try to have support from the government. And support from the government is very important in these instances. And the reason is this infant industry argument. And when we look at infant industry, you'll notice that some industries are not able to survive at the beginning because their cost structure is so high. And it creates a lot of challenges for these economies. So the government has to support them in the beginning. Now in chapter 12, we're going to be looking at some of the controversies. And the controversies are around active trade policies and the concerns for trade. And you'll notice that a lot of the summits, the G6 summits, a lot of these summits that occur, many people want to protest because they want to have their voice known. And the controversies in trade policies create a lot of these challenges. And for this week, I'm going to have a couple videos on the role of externalities. And an externality is a cost or benefit to a third party. And externalities are very important to evaluate because they create what's called market failure. And when markets are failing, the government has to get involved to bring about solutions. So technology and externalities are very important because these technologies are passed on to other countries and they create opportunities in other countries. So for this week, you have your midterm exam. So let's go over some of the questions that you might see with your midterm. What is trade primarily concerned about? But a lot of people think trade is harmful because there's large disparities between countries and wages. We're going to be looking at the gravity model. Benefits of international trade, what are they? Free trade and globalization is generally argued to be what? Historically, there are few developing countries which have succeeded in raising their per capita income levels. In a two-product country, international trade can lead to what? We're going to be looking at the Ricardian model and comparative advantage. We're going to be looking at a tariff. What will tariffs lead to? What is the specific factors model? What is labor defined as? When we look at borrowing and lending, it may be interpreted as one form of what? International trade based on external scales economies in both countries. Who are they carried out by? What are specific tariffs? The Ricardian model of international trade. Why do governments restrict some goods? Why do they restrict goods? The existence of external economies of scale. Positive externalities. Imperfect capital markets for infant industry. What do they promote? What is the infant industry argument? What is terms of trade? Two countries that are engaged in trade in products with scale economies. They're produced under what they're produced under conditions of monopolistic competition. What are they likely to be engaged in? And question 25. The proportion of most countries' production being used in some other countries. What has happened since World War II? Those are some of the questions that you're going to see. Please make sure to focus your efforts on the midterm exam and those 25 questions, as you have one attempt and 60 minutes to take it. But I look forward to your effort this week.